What is up, guys? Welcome back to the end of the video. My name is Franco Torres. I'm a guitar player based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And today we're talking about the new EVH Hypersonic FRFR-12. Let's take a listen to it. So today we're going to be talking about the Hypersonic, like I said, and this is pretty much EVH's stab at the Fender Tone Master. Obviously, EVH is owned by Fender. I'm assuming there's a lot of the same technology in it than the Fender counterpart. There's no particular information about it out there. I'm pretty sure it is just a little bit, tweaked more towards high gain, maybe. Probably changed the speaker, if anything. The cab for sure, obviously. But I don't think it's that much different than something like the Tone Master. I've played them both. I think they're both great. I like the EVH one, how it looks a little bit more, because it also matches my EVH cab that I've got. So if I ever want to do like a stereo setup, I do also have the power stage, so I could use the power stage and the regular EVH 5150 cab, and then use the Hypersonic 5150. And both of them mismatch, at least from the ones that I own, because the other one is an ivory cab and this one's an ebony one. It also does come in ivory. I just thought, why not have the mismatching pair? I thought it looked pretty darn cool, and it honestly does. Anyways, pretty simple layout. We've got a 3-band EQ, which is actually quite potent. I was actually using it live a couple weeks ago, and it worked great, especially considering that we were doing kind of like an odd instrumentation. It was a sax and EWI by the same player, right? But there was a full synth setup, a bass player, drummer, and 7-string guitar. So I needed to cut through the mix, but the mix was kind of like very broad in a way, in terms of like there's a lot going on. So that definitely helped out quite a bit, and I was using the Nano Cortex in that, which I'm going to put some recordings in here so you can kind of check it out and how it stands up to live use, which is kind of why I waited a little bit to do this video. I've had it for a couple weeks now, pretty much ever since it came out. And I wanted to wait a little bit to make this video because I wanted to actually use it live to provide a little bit more insight. In the setup that you're going to be seeing me play my 7-string, like I said, it's a drummer, bass player, synth, saxophone, EWI, synth, saxophone, EWI by the same guy. I was pretty much pushing this towards, I want to say, half volume, and at one point we had another guitar player with a freaking insane, like, old Marshall Plexi 2x12, and this honestly stood up just fine to that. Obviously that was not, cranked all the way up, lucky me. But even at a higher volume, which you're probably going to listen to in a bit, this one was able to stand up very, very well. And I was not even tickling the actual speaker. It had plenty more headroom after that kind of like middle point, which I was, like I said, I was pretty much hanging around like the 50%, 45%-ish volume. And I could still, handle everything pretty well. And honestly, at some points when I was clicking on the boost in my pedal board, I was coming out pretty hot in the mix, which is honestly really exciting, especially considering how it doesn't weigh anything and it's also solid state, so I don't have to worry about, you know, blowing out tubes out there. I'm a huge proponent of everything Quad Cortex and all DSP HX Tom. I really like that kind of realm, even though I obviously love the tube amps and I come from playing a lot of different tube amps. I just, you know, I like the versatility of being able to use these and not have to worry about retubing an amplifier that often. Anyways, yeah, I thought I'd bring out the Hypersonic for that gig to see how it, you know, stood up against a band live and how it kind of like cut through the mix and whatnot. And honestly, freaking amazing. I think it's really cool, especially again the fact that it's so lightweight, super portable, everything in one, you know, package instead of me having to bring the power stage and the cabinet. And actually my EVH 5150 cabinet, which is smaller than that, weighs much more, which is something that I was not particularly expecting. Anyways, I'll put the demo now and then some final thoughts. Anyways, that was it for this video. I absolutely love the Hypersonic. Super stoked to have it. Super stoked to be using it out live. I think it's definitely great to be able to feel some air again without having to necessarily lug with a lot of different, you know, equipment. Though I do obviously prefer to just go direct because it's way easier for me. It was really cool to actually be able to use this in how it moves air and honestly sounds and, you know, makes the whole rig kind of like come together a little bit better in my opinion. Just, you know, holds up very well to their instruments and has plenty of volume on tap, which was my main concern with it. Anyways, I'm super stoked. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you like this kind of video format, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, all that kind of jazz. It does help more than you think. And hopefully I'll see you guys on the next video.